Keenan Allen played 13 games. He had 150 targets. He's gone.
Goodbye.
Austin Eckler was second in targets on this team with 74.
I'm listening.
He's gone. Gerald Everett was third on this team in targets with 70. He's gone. And by the way, I didn't even mention Mike Williams, who only played 3 games, but during those 3 games, averaged 8.6 targets a game. The floodgates are wide open. You know we didn't forget about you, one quarterback gang. We are back right after the NFL draft to give you a 1 quarterback dynasty rookie mock draft. We're going to go through the first 2 rounds, maybe even the third. We'll see, back and forth, and tell you what we would do if it was a 1 quarterback PPR 1.5 tight end premium league. So I'll start us off first with the first pick at the 101. No surprise, I am going to grab Marvin Harrison Jr. I think he should be the consensus 101 at this point. I love Malik Neighbors, who I'm sure we'll talk about here in a second. But ultimately, you look at those 2 situations, Marvin's got to be the pick, getting those targets from Kyler Murray.
Yeah, getting the targets from Kyler Murray really just solidifies him as the number 1 wide receiver in 1 quarterback. And then my wide receiver 2 in a 1 quarterback league here, if I were to be drafting, it would be Malik Neighbors here. If you want to get 140 plus targets, not saying he will, but like somebody that is a number 1 wide receiver on this offense where nobody around him is going to be demanding targets, Malik Neighbors now here with Daniel Jones, the New York Football Giants. Whether it's Daniel Jones, whether it's Drew Lock, it doesn't matter. They're going to be peppering this guy with targets. Yeah. And we've seen in the past, when Josh Allen wasn't the best, who they go out and get? Stephon Diggs. And what happened with Josh Allen? He was unleashed and he became the QB1 in Dynasty. Not saying that's going to happen with Daniel Jones and or Drew Luck. Just saying Malik Neighbors is that type of wide receiver that can impact and change an output in your outlook on a quarterback here. So Malik Neighbors at the 102.
Yeah, he's going to get 25 to 30% of that target share as a rookie. He's going to go crazy. All right, completely switching that narrative, by the way. At the 103, I will take a player that I love, but I will need to be patient on a little bit. That is Rome Odunze. He will be the 103 for me here still in 1 quarterback leagues. Yep. This is a favorable landing spot. It's just not favorable this year necessarily. It isn't the same type of situation that a Marvin Harrison or a Malik Neighbors are stepping into, where they're the unquestioned number 1 on their team, where there is no alphas to compete with. We know this. Rome Odunze stepping into an offense that has 2 alpha wide receivers, guys who have been the number 1 on their team for their entire career. DJ Moore, Keenan Allen. 2 guys averaging, over 140 targets per year, averaging anywhere from 25 to 30% of the target share most years. DJ Moore last year contributed to more than 30% of the team's total receiving offense in Chicago. So we don't know exactly what amount of targets will go around in Chicago to Rome Odunze. He probably plays outside. That could help him in 2 wide receiver sets. But we have to lower expectations slightly. This is probably not a Chase, a Puka, a Justin Jefferson type rookie season. It is the long play, but we're still waiting to, we're still okay to be patient here and play the long game with an elite wide receiver prospect attached to an elite quarterback prospect. So yeah, we'll play the long game here at the 103.
Yeah, completely agree here. Rome Odunze at the 103 for me as well. Continuing with this wide receiver run, another guy that went in the first round to the Jacksonville Jaguars, and that is Brian Thomas Jr. going to the Jacksonville Jaguars, taking over that Calvin Ridley role. I mean, we saw this past year, Calvin Ridley finished as a top 20 wide receiver, leaving behind 136 targets. And Brian Thomas Jr. is instantly coming up to this offense, becoming the number 1 wide receiver alongside Christian Kirk, Evan Ingram, and Travis Etienne here. Look, a lot of people don't love Brian Thomas to this landing spot. From what I've been hearing, what I've been seeing, I love this landing spot. I think he's instantly the number 1 wide receiver. And I think he will definitely get 2 feet down, unlike Calvin Ridley we saw this past year. I mean, like you said, imagine if Calvin Ridley would have gotten both of those feet down in multiple games. He probably would have finished the top 12, but that wasn't the case, unfortunately, here. So Brian Thomas Jr. at the 104 for me.
Yeah, no, I like it. I like it a lot. All right, this is a big decision to make here at the 105 and the 106. I truly think you can go either way.
Sure.
In fact, Badaki, if I'm at the 104, I would be super comfortable trading back from the 104 to the 105 or the 106, or even the 107, depending on what needs I have, and get future draft capital, get more hits in this class, whatever you're thinking about there. I'd be really open. That's kind of the span where I'd be open to trading back.
Yeah.
But for me here at the 105, it is going to be Lad, the space creator, McConkey. My guy, one of my favorite players in the class, links up with Justin Herbert in Los Angeles. You want to talk about vacant targets? I know it doesn't mean that Lad will earn them, but let's look at this for a second. Keenan Allen played 13 games, okay? 13 games. He had 150 targets. He's gone.
Goodbye.
Austin Eckler was second in targets on this team with 74.
I'm listening.
He's gone. Gerald Everett was third on this team in targets with 70. He's gone. Then we had Quentin Johnson, who played full 17 games, only 67 targets. So in a year where he was needed, he only averaged under 4 targets per game. He did not earn the targets when he had the chance. I'm not saying he won't. But there's a clear opportunity here for Lad to step in and make an impact day one.
Yeah.
He will have to earn his way there. And by the way, I didn't even mention Mike Williams, who only played 3 games, but during those 3 games, averaged 8.6 targets a game. The pathway, the floodgates are wide open. So I'm going to take Lad here. Film guys love him. People who are stuck on stats will not like him, and that's okay. I'll take him at the 105.
Yeah. I mean, Lad McConkey stepping up to a phenomenal opportunity here for Justin Herbert. I still believe in Quentin. At the 106, I know maybe tight end premium, and I'm still punting that position. And we'll get to that when that person's off the board here. But my next player for me at the 106, I'm going up against 2 players. I've been saying you can either go wide receiver here at the 106 or running back if you truly wanted to. Man, I'm going to switch it up. Let's have some fun. I think in a lot of people's leagues in a 1 quarterback, they do value running back a lot, significantly more. And I definitely made this switch as well. We had this conversation off live stream, off video. Jonathan Brooks is my first player, my first running back now coming off of this board in my rankings here, going to a phenomenal landing spot with the Carolina Panthers. We've seen, Dave Canellis take over an offense this past year with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, emerging Rachaad White as a top 4 finishing running back. And we can easily see that here with Jonathan Brooks this past year. Yes, Rachaad White wasn't the most efficient running back, but Jonathan Brooks brings that to this offense. Not only that, but a pass-catching ability. I mean, 272 attempts on the ground for Rachaad White this past year with over just 70 targets on the dot. And that's exactly my expectation. Now, a lot of people are saying, what about the ACL tear? What about Miles Sanders? What about Chuba Hubbard? Honestly, I'm not worried about the ACL tear because according to all reports, he's going to be ready for day 1 in training camp and so on and so forth. And I'm not worried about Chuba Hubbard. And Miles Sanders, my personal opinion, could be a cut casualty on this team coming into this offseason here or into the OTAs in preseason. So do not be surprised if Miles Sanders is cut and Jonathan Brooks is clearly the number 1 running back on this offense here. Before I did have another running back as my RB1, but with that picture I just painted, I can see Jonathan Brooks taking over day 1.
Yeah, because it's a tight end premium format, I do think Brock Bowers gets pushed up for me, and it's probably lower for a lot of people. But for me, I actually think I do start to look at Brock Bowers as my 106. So to get him here at the 107, I'm happy with that.
That's fair.
I do think in a way we might be, not you, Badaki, but just us in general, we might be overthinking this a little bit with Brock Bowers. Maybe not. But ultimately, we're looking at a guy who is actually stepping into a pretty favorable situation when you think about the competition around him. I know Devontae Adams is there. Clearly, he's going to be the number 1, but we know Devontae Adams isn't a young spring chicken either. This is a guy who is getting into his early 30s. And would it be all that crazy if this is kind of a Kincaid, Stephon Diggs situation this time next year? Like, would that shock any of us if this time next year the Raiders need to move on and then, oh, look at that, Brock Bowers is the number 1 in this offense? Because of the premium, I would start to draft Bowers, I think, at the 106. So I'll take him here at the 107.
Yeah, and for me, when I did mention about the premium earlier, I think all depends on the premium. If you're in the half-point premium on the tight end in a 1 quarterback, I'm still willing to punt it based off of all the other talent and the situations that I like better than Brock Bowers. Same thing.
Sure.
And 1 point tight end premium, I understand. 2 point tight end premium, 100%. He'll probably be going maybe as high as a 103, 104 in a 2-point or 104 or a 1-point premium. But in a half-point premium, it doesn't move the needle for me in my personal ranking. So keep that in mind as you're watching this video, and maybe why I didn't go Jonathan Brooks here. All right.
You went Jonathan Brooks there.
That's why I didn't go Brock Bowers, excuse me. All right, at the 108 here, another guy I could go, but I did want to have a conversation about him. Some new news has emerged. Technically would be my 108. That is Xavier Worthy going to the Kansas City Chiefs here. Now, the biggest recent news that we're hearing is that Rashee Rice could be missing up to half the season. Now, if that is true, that instantly bumps up Xavier Worthy to become, I guess, the number one wide receiver on the offense. Not the number one target, but the number one wide receiver. I do believe he will surpass Hollywood Brown if Rashee Rice is suspended for half of the season, and Xavier Worthy getting that first round draft capital, the Kansas City Chiefs trading up for Xavier Worthy, I can easily see him taking over that Rashee Rice role in the first half of the season and maybe solidifying himself in that role to where maybe Rashee Rice takes that back seat if that is the case, if he does get suspended for that long period of time. Now, if it's a 2 to 4 game types of suspension, then my narrative is a little bit different there. But Xavier Worthy at 108, I think is great for me.
Yeah, no, it's an interesting conversation for sure. I went back and actually watched that clip. It's funny. It was on Steve Smith's show that he does with Underdog.
Yep.
And it was just kind of a comment that Jesse Palmer is his name. James Palmer, excuse me.
Yep.
He just kind of threw it in there. He's like, I think he'll miss half the season. And that is the report that everyone's running with. I mean, look, maybe Rashee Rice does, but it's funny to me that like that is a report that every media outlet is just like running with, like, oh, it's okay. We know it's going to be half the season. No, this is one pundit who had said on a show, he just threw it in there. I think he misses half the season. And now it's just this report that's spreading like fire. Mm-hmm. Maybe Rashee Rice does miss half the season. I don't know. But what I do know is Rashee Rice will play ball this year. I know that.
100%.
Based off what we know over the past couple years, Rashee Rice will play ball this year. So ultimately, at some point, Rashee Rice will have a role in this offense.
Yeah.
And that will impact Xavier Worthy alongside Hollywood Brown, alongside Travis Kelce. So I definitely get it. I'm not saying this is a wrong pick at all. Yeah. I'm just addressing that report because I just found it a little bit funny that like everyone is running with that as if like it's been brought by the NFL.
Yeah, and we're big believers of Rashee Rice. A lot of the conversations when that incident first came out was that Rashee Rice is done. He's no longer. He's not going to see the field, and we were big advocates of him. Like, he's going to play, like you said, he's going to play ball. He's going to be on the field. We just don't know how long he's going to be off the field for, whether that's half the season, 2 to 4 games, or maybe just 1 game, whatever that looks like. Maybe he's not on. Maybe he is on the field the whole season. But yeah,
I think he misses somewhere in the range of 2 to 6 games. I'd say somewhere in there right now, but it could be more. We'll see. At the 109, I'll get what I would say is my RB1B to Brooks's 1A. That's Trey Benson. I would be completely fine if I knew I could trade back from the 106 to the 109 and still land Benson. Just using this as a reference point, right?
100%.
Like if I knew, hey, I'll give you the 111 and the 109 for the 106, and I knew I could still grab Benson here and get another shot at the 111, like those are the type of deals I'd be looking for. At the end of the day, James Conner has not stayed healthy for an entire season, I think, ever. Yeah. I don't think it's ever happened. Yeah. If you give Trey Benson even one shot at the RB1 here, it's going to be game over. Yeah. That kind of athleticism, that kind of freak behind Kyler Murray, I think it'll be game over. But ultimately, the argument for Benson, and I have Brooks as my 1A, but the argument for Benson is he's in a better offense.
He is.
That offense is going to score more often than Carolina. Unless Bryce has this crazy turnaround, that could be possible. But the argument is the offense is better. You'll be on the field more. You'll be in the red zone more. And it's funny because if Benson went, 3 picks earlier in the second round, what's the conversation we're having if it's round 2, round 3? Because both round 2 and 3 running backs have a really good hit rate. So I don't mind which way you go. I'll take the one that's at a discount, basically, if I can move back.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it just depends on what your flavor is, to be honest with you. Do you want Jonathan Brooks in a whole new offense, or do you want Trey Benson linking up with Kyler Murray, that we've seen the success with the running back there with James Conner before? At the 110 for me, I think this is the perfect opportunity to take a quarterback in a one quarterback league. And now this may not be consensus with the one quarterback community, but if you do not have a top 10 I would even say top 12 quarterback in Dynasty. Maybe you have a Daniel Jones. Maybe you have a Deshaun Watson. Maybe you have a Baker Mayfield, a Will Levis, or Kirk Cousins. I think this type of caliber quarterback in Caleb Williams is perfect position here for you to take him. Now, once again, I know a lot of people would rather take another quarterback that went to the Washington Commanders and Jaden Daniels because of his rushing upside. But a lot of people were saying that with Anthony Richardson last year, and obviously that class is different and those situations are different. But they went with the upside, and I bet you a lot of people in those one quarterback leagues that went Anthony Richardson wish they had C.J. Stroud.
Sure.
At the same time, anything can happen this year. For me, I'm going Caleb Williams at the 110, linking up with the Chicago Bears, who got a top 10 wide receiver in this draft, who has DJ Moore, Cole Kmet, DeAndre Swift. This offensive line is getting better. The defense is getting better as well. I'll take Caleb Williams here at the 110.
Funnily enough, a lot of people who went one of those quarterbacks over Anthony Richardson probably ended up with Bryce Young. So, funnily enough, those people probably regret not taking Anthony Richardson. But I definitely hear where you're coming from. Mm-hmm. I'm going to take Jaden Daniels here. I have said this many times in Superflex videos, but in case y'all have missed it, I would not be surprised if he is the best fantasy quarterback in year one of this group. I'm not saying it will happen. Clearly, Caleb is set up for ultimate success as a rookie. But with what he can do on the ground, the guy that can lead the league in rushing at some point, that's really enticing to me as well. So I'll take him there at the 111. You're back up here at the 112.
Yeah, the 112, let's round it out here with the first-round wide receiver. That is Ricky Pearsall, went to the San Francisco 49ers. Now, I know a lot of people are kind of hesitant on Ricky and what he's going to potentially, his outlook is going to look like. But I think this is the long play. Whether it's Deebo Samuel or Brandon Ayuk that's going to be off this team, maybe after the 2024 season, you just secured yourself a top round one wide receiver that's linked up with Brock Purdy and is instantly going to be either the not number one. I would say he'd be the number two, whether Ayuk or Brandon Ayuk leaves this team, which is exciting because we've seen both of these guys finish as a top 15 wide receiver. And Ricky Pearsall is an amazing talent who we both like, coming out of Florida, making those spectacular catches. And he has the opportunity to be a top 20 wide receiver in his career once one of these wide receivers are gone. So this is a long play. It may not be for 2024. And even if Brandon Ayuk or Deebo Samuel is traded away in the offseason, this is still a huge pick. And I think a lot of people wouldn't take Ricky Pearsall here, which means you can get Ricky Pearsall maybe in the early second, and you just got yourself a first-round wide receiver that's going into instant opportunity if Ayuk or Deebo is gone this season. So keep that in mind.
Yeah, I like it a lot. I really, really like it. My comp for Ricky was a younger Adam Thielen. So thinking about that in this offense is really exciting to me if one of those names are moved. And what's funny is if both of those guys stay on a long-term contract, we're like, oh shit, this kind of sucks.
Yeah, it is kind of
sucks. But if one of them is moved, that asset jumps up straight away so quickly, so high. All right, we're about to get into round two, but we have to let you guys know that our 2024 rookie report just released.
That's right.
Brand spanking new one quarterback rankings, historical hit rate data inside that rookie report. Mm-hmm. If you want to crush your draft, everything you need is in that report. Become a Mother Flocker member with the promo code LAND to unlock that, as well as a Dynasty team review. Maybe you don't know what to do with your team. Maybe you don't know what to do with your picks or what direction you should make or what trades you should be looking to pursue. Well, if you become a Mother Flocker member with the code LAND, you'll get a Dynasty team review by us on a live stream, and we will tell you what we would do if it were our team. But let's get into the second round. All right, I'm at the 201 here, and I'm going to take Keon Coleman. At the 201. First pick in round two, he goes to Josh Allen. Now, I still don't think that just because he was Josh Allen's choice, just because Josh Allen wanted him, that automatically he's going to be successful in the NFL. Josh Allen can want him. He still needs to improve as a separator. And from everything I've heard in interviews, they want to play him at the X. Let's see how that's going to work. I don't know exactly if this is the type of guy that you can throw at 8-9 times a game. But I'm curious. I am a little bit concerned that maybe Curtis Samuel and Dalton Kincaid might be ahead of him in target share. I think people are going to hate to hear that, but
I think so.
But ultimately, I'll take the shot on the guy that is going to Buffalo. I don't think this is the Diggs replacement. I don't think it's going to work like that, but I've been proven wrong before, so I'll take a shot at the 201.
Yeah, look, I said this before. This is the Gabe Davis replacement, in my personal opinion. I will give this. Keon Coleman is better talent than Gabe Davis. He had better draft capital as well, if I'm not mistaken, than Gabe Davis. But for me, we'll see. We'll see. I would say this. Funny ass dude. I like him as a person. Everything I've been seeing coming out of social media for the Buffalo Bills has been hilarious. I love him as a person. Still don't like him as a talent, unfortunately. But hey, prove me wrong, and then I can like you as a player and as a person. At the 202 here, I'll take another first-round wide receiver that you can get in the first round. I know a lot of people don't believe in. That is Xavier Legette. They trade up the 32nd pick, 33rd pick to the 32nd pick of the Carolina Panthers, getting Xavier Legette, another hilarious person with that voice, that country-ass voice. But I love it, and I think him going into this offense is phenomenal. Once again, another Davis Canellas, connection here when you think of what he did last year with a talent like Mike Evans. Like Mike Evans is proven. He is a Pro Bowl wide receiver, a Super Bowl winning type wide receiver, and has been doing that for years in the league. But the way he was utilized in an offense, and the way I'm seeing Davis Canellas using this offense with Bryce Young, getting a big body wide receiver in Xavier Legette. Now, he may not be the best route runner, but he's a guy that can go up and pinpoint the ball and get it and use his speed and his athleticism to take his game to the next level. I think he becomes the X wide receiver where Deontay Johnson is the Y, and then Adam Thielen is potentially the slot guy with Jonathan Brooks in the backfield, which, once again, if you make the connections with Mike Evans and what we saw last year with Baker Mayfield, which no one was expecting, to Bryce Young, who, in my opinion, is a better quarterback, may not have as good of the talent as a wide receiver in Xavier Legette as Mike Evans, I'll take still a first-round wide receiver once again at the 202.
Yeah, just shows how absolutely stacked this class is. That would have been my pick. I do have my concerns.
I get it.
And I think Deontay Johnson dominates target share on this offense. I don't even think it's close. I'm not even sure if Legette out-targets Thielen. Maybe. But this would have been my pick also, Badaki. I would have made this pick simply because Canales is saying, we traded up for this guy. We're going to build around this guy. So I'm willing to bet and see that out.
By the way.
But again, I would not be surprised at all if he is third in target share on this offense, because he still has a long way to go as a route runner.
He does.
A long way to go.
He does.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and grab Jalen Polk here, New England wide receiver. There is literally no one to compete with outside of him and Javon Baker there. So if you're telling me I get the guy that Drake May is going to build chemistry with, the guy that they perceive to be their number one, otherwise they wouldn't have drafted him number one, then yeah, I'll take that guy there at the 203 and see what happens in season. So yeah, I'll take Jalen Polk at the 203.
Yeah, my next guy here at the 204 is a fourth-round wide receiver, and that is Troy Franklin at the 204, linking up again with his college quarterback and Bo Nix. They have no one here. Yes, this Cortland Sutton, you have Marvin Mims, but Troy Franklin, I do believe, could be the first wide receiver, the first target on this offense by the end of the season here. We've seen, Sean Payton now building his new team from the ground up, new quarterback, new wide receivers, new running back as well. I mean, weapons all over the place and some defensive players. And he is wiping out everyone. He's traded away Jerry Jeudy. Defensive players are no longer on this team. I know Cortland Sutton was on the block for the past 2 years. Maybe he gets moved again, or he gets moved in the off season. We don't know. But if that is the case, Troy Franklin, I think, gets bumped up even higher. But getting a guy here, I know fourth round hit rate is not phenomenal. We've only seen that two wide receivers, I think Amon-Ra St. Brown and somebody else in the past 10 years. But I'll take my chances here with Troy Franklin.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. I think this in a one quarterback format is actually where I start to bet on these running backs with day two capital.
Sure.
So a guy like Blake Corum probably comes off the board for me here at the 205. Yes, I know Kyren Williams is there. I know there's just no way at all that Kyren Williams is going to lose even 1 ounce of his workload. This is what all the Kyren Williams owners are telling me. But if Sean McVay, who runs an incredible offense for your running back in fantasy football, sees some value in Blake Corum, I'm going to hear him out. I'm going to hear out the guy who hasn't had a back-to-back 1,000-yard rusher repeat since 2017, 2018.
Yeah.
So I'm going to take a shot on Blake Corum and see what happens. It's funny because this time last year, no one thought Kyron Williams was valuable at all, right?
Yeah.
And not to sit here and say that Kyron is losing his job, but again, I think there could be a role for Corum that people are ignoring. So I'll take him off the board here at the 205.
Yeah, getting that guy in this offense makes sense here at the 205. I think it's great value there. 206 here. Let's go Jermaine Burton. Went to the Cincinnati Bengals.
I like it.
Another thought process. What happens if T. Higgins is moved? Tyler Boyd is no longer on this team. And if not, he's already sliding into Tyler Boyd's workload, which in my opinion is definitely going to be a great opportunity for him to step up here. And is going to be returning at least something to you in year one. And his ceiling could rise even higher once T. Higgins is off this team. And if not, then he's playing the Tyler Boyd role for the rest of his career, which we've seen be successful at times when one of T. Higgins or Jamar Chase is not on the fields here. So I'll take Jermaine Burton at the 206.
Yeah, I'm going to keep swooping up. I love the pick, by the way. I'm going to keep swooping up these round 2 running backs. So I'm going to grab Marshawn Lloyd here at the 207. Again, in a 1 quarterback format. I just push those guys up my board a little bit. I love that day 2 capital. And there is a chance Josh Jacobs, who, by the way, was very inefficient last year, is not the same player that he once was. There's a chance, because they have an out after this year, that you're looking at a starting running back for this team in 2025 in a very good offense. So I'll take Marshawn Lloyd off the board here at the 207. I'll trust that day 2 capital. I'll take a little shot here, I guess, with these running backs. I know how valuable they can be in this format.
Yeah, in 1 quarterback format, running backs, I would say, are valued a little bit higher. So it definitely makes sense with Corum and Marshawn Lloyd. I got Marshawn Lloyd in the 3-2 in a super flex league. So I think that's phenomenal value. In my opinion, at the 208, Malachi Corley going to the Jets here.
Okay.
Another phenomenal pick. I do believe he's going to be the slot wide receiver, taking a lot of balls to the house and coming off here with Aaron Rodgers. I'm not scared of Mike Williams coming off the ACL tear, 29 years old, had a massive injury history. I doubt he plays a full season. I don't think he's ever done that. He's only finished top 12 once in his career because of his injury history and injury concerns. Malachi Corley should see himself getting a good opportunity here alongside Garrett Wilson.
Yeah, I think so too. You know, it's a really tough call here. Where do these quarterbacks come off the board? I mean, to be honest, I'm looking at this and I'm saying, okay, Caleb goes at the 110, Jaden at the 111. There's no way we can justify that those guys, one is worth that Drake May here is worth the 209, you know, and those guys are worth a full round ahead. But again, it just shows how incredibly stacked this class is. I guarantee you there will be so many people who make a comment. This player's too low. This player, it's laughable that this guy's this far. It's a crime that this guy is this far down, right? It just speaks to how it's stacked this class is. But ultimately, I think Drake May comes off the board here for me. And I think you can make a case for him as high as like the 204.
Yeah, I think so as well. Once again, top 12 quarterbacks that you don't have. And I think even these, QB3, QB4s that went in the NFL draft can get bumped up based off their draft capital and landing spot in situations. According to your model, 59.4% hit rate for these first round quarterbacks. And if you don't have a first round quarterback or a decent quarterback in QB1, maybe take a shot on one of these guys. And I'll continue with the quarterback run here. And JJ McCarthy going as a top 10 pick in the NFL draft, linking up with Justin Jefferson, TJ Hawkinson, and Jordan Addison here. I think is a perfect fit at the 210.
No, that makes a ton of sense. I am going to fit a player inside the second round here because I think they should go in the second round of a 1 quarterback format.
Okay.
And it goes against my rankings, but I think, again, with these running backs, I think Jalen Wright should be a second round pick in 1 quarterback leagues. Again, it just goes to show how stacked this class is. But
absolutely.
I've talked about Jalen Wright on this channel before. I've talked about why I think he's a fantastic pick in the late second, early third in Superflex or 1 quarterback formats. And it's simply because I think that this is the Raheem Mostert replacement long term. He's actually a little bit bigger than Raheem Mostert, but if you look at their testing coming out of college, it's very similar. Both of them ran a 4.38 40-yard dash. One did it at 195 pounds, and Raheem Mostert, Jalen Wright did it at 210 pounds. You talk about size, speed, that is what McDaniels is completely obsessed with. So I do think this is the successor to Raheem Mostert at some point. And Raheem hasn't been able to stay healthy for most of his career. last year was really an outlier. So I will bump Jalen Wright up slightly here because he is a running back. And I know, not everyone will like that, but it's tough. It's tough. There's so many good values here.
All right, finishing out the second round here at the 212. I mean, I'm getting all the wide receivers here today.
Yeah.
And I'll take Roman Wilson. I know there's probably another guy that people are saying, what?
Yes, people are furious right now. They are throwing their phones at the screen.
This mock draft is chalk, or this draft is chalk. These guys
invite me to your league.
Yeah. Anyways, Roman Wilson, who I like tremendously, going to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Mind you, a lot of these guys, we like. There's other guys that are on the board that we like better as talents, but the situation, I think, really weighs heavy on some of these guys, which we'll probably talk about here on that next player, potentially, if he is taken. But Roman Wilson is a guy here at the 212. I think it's worth going in the second round. He does go to the Pittsburgh Steelers in the third round of the NFL draft. Now, this opportunity in this offense that I do envision him getting some great workload coming from, or in this offense for the Pittsburgh Steelers, is because Deontay Johnson is no longer on this team. Deontay Johnson leaving behind a significant amount of targets here. We see George Pickens. This really speaks a lot to George Pickens and what the Pittsburgh Steelers believe in him. But I do believe Roman Wilson is going to carve out a decent role when you think of this offense, because there's nobody else. It's just George Pickens in this wide receiver room now with Roman Wilson. So I think Roman Wilson can easily carve out a good, I would say, wide receiver 2 type of role, obviously, in this offense.
Okay, here's what we're going to do in round 3, Badaki.
Here we go.
We are going to make a pick, and you have to decide, for time's sake, you have to describe why you made that pick in one word. Okay? You ready for this?
Okay. I'll try.
I'm going to make my pick here. Adonai Mitchell.
No words?
Talent.
Talent. Okay. My 302, Javon Baker. Wide receiver 2. That's more than one word, but WR2.
Yeah. This might actually take longer. Let's keep it going. All right. I'm going to grab Jalen McMillan. And why? My guy.
Sure. 304 for me would be, I'll just switch it up. Ben Sinnott.
Sinnott, but I love it.
Draft capital. That's more than,
okay.
Yeah. Draft capital.
I mean, yeah, that's 2 words.
That's 2 words.
But that's okay.
That's okay.
No, that works. All right. I'm going to go sweet baby Ray Davis here.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Handcuff.
Sure. Let's go another running back. Audric Estime. Goal line.
Yes, that's perfect. That's perfect. All right, I'm going to grab a quarterback here.
Sure.
I'll grab Bo Nix. Why? Fell-to-far. One word. All right.
Fell-to-far. I love it. Okay. I'll take another Washington Commander, Luke McCaffrey.
Okay.
Why not?
Bro, the one word was sitting there. Bloodline.
Oh, true. Bloodline. That's a good one. I missed it.
All right, Luke McCaffrey off the board. I will probably... I'll take Michael Penix Jr. here.
Okay.
Why? 8 overall. 2 words.
8 overall. Tyrone Tracy.
All right.
PPR.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. You know what? I'll take Bucky Irving here.
Okay.
Handcuff.
Handcuff. All right, and to finish it off here, who should I take? I'll redeem myself. Brendan Rice.
There you go.
Bloodline.
Perfect. Couldn't have said it better myself. That is the end of round 3, guys. We appreciate y'all big time. Do us a favor. Hit that like button to show some love. Subscribe if you like Dynasty content, and we'll see you very soon. Good luck in your drafts. Now that those idiots are done talking, who needs some rankings?
Hell yeah, I need some rankings.
Then use promo code LAND, L-A-N-D, for 30% off any membership at flockfantasy.com.
Oh.
It's so easy, even your grandma could scan that QR code right there.